Welcome back. Today we're going to be showing you how to connect the SOK 48V 100 amp hour server rack battery to the Sol-Ark 5K inverter that's behind me. Now this we're showing you on a Sol-Ark 5K, however it applies the same to the Sol-Ark 8K, 12K, and the all-new 15K. It's a pretty simple process. There's only a couple of things you need. You need your battery, a couple sockets, some cables, and a small screwdriver. And this is a very easy process, so let's get started. First things first, we're going to be working here on the inside of the inverter. Now, this is set up just in a grid-connected situation, so I only have 240 volts coming in on the grid side. I don't have any PV connected, and I don't have a critical loads or generator panel connected. So the first thing I did was make sure the grid is completely isolated and that the DC breaker is off so that we can safely work on the battery connections. For the connection to the battery, I'm going to be using this 2-gauge cable provided by us here at Current Connected. We make these custom in-house with a custom hydraulic crimper. This cable is special. It has 5/16 connectors on one end and 3/8 on the other end. I'll make sure to include a link in the description down below. So I'm going to take the end with 3/8 rings, and using a 17mm socket, I'm going to remove the screw from the Sol-Ark. And then I'm going to feed in the negative cable and put the bolt right back in. Repeat the same for the positive. Next, we're going to be shifting our attention to this RJ45 port right here. It is marked Battery CANBus. We're going to be using a standard Cat5e Ethernet cable with standard pinouts and plugging that right into that connector. From here, that is about it for connections in the inverter. We'll just need to come back here in a minute to turn on the breakers. Next, we're going to want to make sure to turn off the circuit breaker on the front of the battery. Apparently, I left it on last time I used it. And then we're going to shift our attention here to the display. Now, this BMS is currently active. You can tell because if you hit one of the buttons, it turns on. So we need to deactivate that. And to do that, press and hold this RST button with a small screwdriver for just a couple of seconds until the lights start flashing and the BMS turns off. Now we are ready to establish our communications. First things first, on the address dip switch, we're going to turn the first dip switch on, and that sets this as the master battery, the one that's going to be making our communications with our inverters. Now, subsequent batteries that are slave batteries would need their addresses set appropriately per the instruction manual. From here, you can go ahead and plug the RJ45 Ethernet cable into the CANBus port, and now the communication side of things are ready to go. Next, I've already gone ahead and slid the little rubber boot that comes with these batteries over my cable end, but I'm going to fold that back and then use a 13mm socket to go ahead and remove the screw from the battery, and then put it back into the appropriate torque. After that, you can just cover it with the boot, and now this connection is nice and safe, and any other batteries would connect to the other terminal. Repeat the same for the negative terminal. Now that all of our connections are made, the first thing we need to do is turn on the DC breaker in the Sol-Ark. This needs to be turned on first before you turn on the battery. Next, turn on the circuit breaker of the master battery. And then using our small screwdriver, push in the RST button for just a couple of seconds to turn on the BMS. This will trigger the pre-charge function, safely starting up the inverter. And then from there, we are ready to push the main power switch to turn on the inverter. After the inverter has powered up, we're going to need to go into the settings and adjust a few parameters. So just press the gear icon at the top right of the screen and select battery setup. From there, you're going to want to select this fourth option on the right that says BMS lithium battery. So go ahead and check that. And if you have anything besides for this 00 right here, you're going to want to touch it and use the up and down arrows to adjust that. We want this one to be 00, as well as set your battery capacity to 100 amp hours per battery in the system. So we only have one battery, so you want that to be 100 amp hours. And charge current and discharge also 100 amps per battery. Go ahead and click OK. And now on your system setup, you have one more button right here that says lithium battery info. And we can see here the battery voltage, current limit for charge and discharge, as well as state of charge, temperature, current, all that good stuff, and any alarms if there were any. So I'm going to set this real quick to export some power to the grid. So we're going to turn on grid cell, And if we look back on the main home screen, we're going to see power starts coming from the battery and going to the grid. It's showing wrong as the loads because of a couple other settings I have. But if we go here into the settings, into the lithium battery info, we can see there are 66 to 68 amps of load put on the battery, and we can see the voltage has dropped a little bit. But this is all fine and good. This battery's working perfect. That about sums up the communications with the SOK 48-volt server rack battery and the Sol-Ark, in this case 5K, but also again applies to 8K, 12K, and 15K models. If you guys have any questions, feel free to contact us. Otherwise, we hope we helped you out today and look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks. See you soon. Bye-bye.